Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today, I am so excited to have on a 40-year-old from Cornwall, Ontario. His hockey journey took him to Canada, the USA, Germany, and England. In 2001, for the Cornwall Colts, Player of the Year, MVP, most points, and first team All-Star. And with Ferris State, second team All-CCHA. With the Sheffield Steelers in Challenge Cup competition, 86 points in 77 games played. In league competition, the one that really matters, 489 points in 432 games. Two-time second-team All-Star, three-time playoff champion, and four-time league champion. Welcome to the podcast, Jeff Legue.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, man, it's great. It's going to be great to get to know you over the next hour and a half.
Perfect.
But thanks for coming on and making the time for me. I know we don't really know each other, which is the first thing I go over is how we know each other. And I guess the first time I would have seen you, I guess, would be Ferris versus Western Michigan, eh?
That's right. Yeah. And you know what? I was looking back and I was like, I remember that guy now. Like, I remember because especially my senior year, because we lost out to you guys. Was it you guys? Yeah, it was you guys.
No, we didn't put you out.
And what was our last game? And what?
I don't even know, man.
Or was our last season game? It was in Western, and we lost out to Ohio State. I think that those years are all blurry for me.
Yeah, man, it's a long time ago, but
20 years ago.
Like I remember you and Nesbitt because like I played a lot of shifts against you guys, and we played a lot against each other. And I think it would be my junior year when like I was up for like the scoring title. You and Nesbitt would have been right there with me.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you were a year behind us, right?
Yeah. So I had a big junior year was my big one. Your senior year, and I guess actually the first time I would have ever seen you play, I figured this out actually today, is with the Elmira Sugar Kings. We came to watch you play in Ferris when Robbie Collins was on your team because he was a former Sugar King.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I was he got hurt and I ended up jumping up from like third line or fourth line to play with Kunitz. And I think at the time it was Derek McIver that was playing with them. And then all of a sudden he came back and they kept me there for a little bit. But I was a little out of my element then.
I remember seeing Kunitz play, man. He was so good. And then I knew the next year I was going to play against you guys. And I was like, wow, this hockey looks way better than Junior B.
Yeah. Well, speed, man. That's the crazy thing. It was 100 miles an hour and you had to perform at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, because everybody was in phenomenal shape because all you did was work out.
That's it. That's when I started working out.
But yeah, like so my freshman year in university would be a main reason why I would know your name as well is because when I'm a freshman, you're on a line with Nesbitt and Kunitz. And I got Kunitz down for 79 points in college, which is absurd.
Yeah.
You have 59, which is insane. And Nesbitt had 53. Like that must have been a really fun year to play hockey, eh?
Yeah. I mean, it felt like you didn't do anything wrong. And I think it kind of helped. Bob Daniels gave us a little bit of a no leash there. Just boys go out and perform. And, you know, we all had different characters. I was more of a passer. Kunitz could bury anything that was in between his feet and sometimes not even. And, Nezzy was all around wicked shot. So it made hockey very easy at those times. I mean, when you're playing against Ohio State and Michigan State and you're getting 2-3 points a game, you're like, wow, you're on a road to, a good year. And we did. I mean, we ended up winning the CCHA and 80 points for Cooney free. Like, and then
he didn't win the Hobie that year though, did he? Right?
No, it was
Sanya
from Colorado.
And I played against both teams that year, and like Kunitz, like man, he ran guys over. Like we tried. I remember we tried to shadow him one game, and after the first period, he had 2 goals and an assist. He had buried about 4 of our D men into the end wall, and we were like, well, I guess shadowing doesn't work, so just go play. And
That's it.
like you couldn't stop the guy, eh?
It was just a matter of containing him, and yeah, I mean, if you contained it, it was probably to keep him under 2 points, and
Yeah.
teams couldn't. I mean, his speed, his strength, like his shot, like the guy could shoot a puck if it was rolling. It didn't matter if it was a grenade going over to him; it was going top shelf. Like you see it in the replays, like the puck's rolling, he flicks it up, puts it upstairs. You're like, and the worst thing is, yet I don't know what curve you use, but he used a jury, and I couldn't even play like house league hockey with a jury curve. Like the puck would roll off my stick all the time, but he somehow just could pull it in and do what he did with it. And
yeah, when he didn't win the Hobie, and the skilled guy that had about the same amount of points, just the all-around game he was playing that season, like he completely dominated Western Michigan. Like we had no sniff when your line was out there. Like it was actually quite embarrassing when you guys were out there against us. But yeah, you also played with Robbie Collins, who he's basically from Elmira nowadays. He married an Elmira girl. So yeah, you played with him as well. I guess he would have been a senior.
So funny thing about Robbie, it was my first year. Christmas time rolls around. The guys are like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm going to go home. And he's like, well, why don't you come to my house? So I'm like, okay. I'm like, so I'll call my parents and like, so we get in the car, me, Carter Thompson, and then Smitty, Brett Smith
from Guelph.
So, yeah. So we all go down and light up. I forget what is loose change or $2.
Oh, loose change Louis or something.
Is that what it was? So
So you would have hit the Waterloo bars then?
The Waterloo, yeah. So he showed us a good time there, and yeah, it was good. That's how the older guys are kind of shy, and you kind of let them do their own thing because you're just a young guy. But he kind of took me under his wing and friggin' brought me to his place, and yeah, showed me a good time. So.
Okay, watch the knocking on the table. We can hear that. The listeners can hear that. Don't get all handsy with us. But the other part of how we know each other that I wrote down is, I guess I would have played against you because I found it interesting after your college career. In 2008, I'm with Bietigheim, and we come to Sheffield to play you guys for a weekend. And both teams like went out all on the town after the game. I don't know if you'd remember that, but I found it very interesting. You were already in the UK because it was only the second or third year out of school, and after the college career you had, I was surprised, and I remember you already being there.
Yeah, it was just my first year in the coast, man. I did the traveling, the lifestyle wasn't for me, and then I got traded from South Carolina to Dayton. Well, you played in
Daytona Beach. Yeah. Okay. We'll get into all that, but I was just curious that you're already overseas, but I get it. I was the same way after a year in the coast. I was like, get me the hell out of here. Anywhere. Yeah. I'll go anywhere.
Well, my agent said, he goes, you'll make a lot more money in Europe. And I said, you know what? I'm a smaller player. Might as well. So
absolutely. My agent actually told me he wanted me to play one more year in North America. I was like, I got an offer over there. I don't want to do it again.
It's a different lifestyle.
I mean, man, to sign an East Coast deal and make East Coast money just didn't seem appealing at all. But moving on is the other reason I still remembered your name as well, and reached out to you, is because you were part of the Steelers in 2014-15 when we won the Challenge Cup against you guys, and then you guys won the league in front of us with Cardiff. Yeah. So we both won one. It was competitive.
What's the Challenge Cup again?
That's the one you never won.
Yeah, that's the one we were like, oh, we got to play more games during the season. Okay. No. We get bonuses for that? No? Okay. Well,
you know what? You should get a bonus for that.
You should. You should play an extra 8 games or.
Yeah, they make more money from it, don't they?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, moving on though. So here we go. A couple random questions to start off the pod here before we get into your career. Okay, is if you had to choose shooters or river rock and why?
I don't know. What day of the week is it?
I don't know anything about it. What is shooters and river rock?
Well, shooters is $2 beers on Tuesday at school, and River Rock it was $1 pitchers. So I'd have to go with River Rock.
$1 pitchers?
Yeah, if you had to get there, it was priceless. It was Wednesday night. You had to get there before 8:00 because I think they only had about 8 pitchers in the building, and it was $1 to refill it. So,
wow.
Yeah, and so you get.
There's only 8 pitchers in the building. Wow. So everybody's just sharing their.
Yeah, we would show up, and there's probably 15 guys minimum, and we get going through. Everybody's got their pictures, and by the time we got to the end, they didn't have any more pictures left. So we're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just all split, because usually you just walk around with one in your hand and whatever. You know the college days.
Oh, I do. I actually, one of my favorite nights was it was also Wednesday night. It was $5 all you can bowl and 50-cent beers. It's a fun night.
Wow.
Yeah, so $10, you're having a time.
That's what it was. I remember it was 25-cent draft. It was just those little plastic cups. So you go to the bar with like $5, and
yeah,
even pitchers $5. After 5 pitchers, you're on the dance floor for the rest of the night.
yeah. I met my wife on the dance floor. Establishment like that. Okay. Next random question is. So I guess the answer was River Rock, in the $1.
River Rock had a tubing thing in the summertime. It was awesome.
Is that right? And this is by Ferris?
Yeah. They would tie tractor tires, tubes together with bale, like whatever.
Straw bale?
Yeah, like that. We'd tie about 15 tubes together, put some coolers and thing, and you'd float down, start at the bar, float down the river, and then a bus will meet you at the other end and bring you back to the bar.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, that sounds fun.
We only did that a couple of times in the summer.
Actually, we went on a Western Michigan camping trip on a river tube ride down the river. And then you get a bus to the start, go down the river, and then you get off at your campsite. And she got pretty messy there when you get 24 college kids away for a weekend, right?
Yeah, let's put it this way. You didn't want to step on the bus floor.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a strange way of living back at university. I'm assuming you guys were living the same way, because my next random question is, which house won the Christmas egg fight your sophomore year?
Well, put it this way. When we bought out 4 convenience stores
of eggs,
including a supermarket. I can't even remember the names, but and the street that we had it on, the one house, we woke up the next morning after the melee, whatever. There had to be 500 birds all eating off the eggs and the yolk and the whatever. Oh, it was disgusting. There was birds everywhere, but it had to be our house, because Nezzy's house got, it was Brown. Who was in there? Brown.
So you guys just were all outside, just chucking eggs at each other's houses?
Yeah. And then we'd run away, and you'd try to run away, but you're carrying 8 dozen eggs in your grocery bags. And then, 200 Woodward was part of it. And then what was the other one? Deeks and them they didn't get involved that much, but it was the middle house. And I think it was Skip, Mike Brown, and who was else? I think it was.
How many houses were in this battle?
3.
It would have been pretty messed up after
the
the night.
Is, Ferris is you can run from one end of the town to the other in 3 minutes. So it wasn't like it was too far to go anywhere, but I think Shibes would have had her head if we would have been our house involved. But hey, I'm on the computer there, Larry. Fortnite in there. Yeah, there's 3 houses involved, but 200 Woodward, and then one just up the street, and then 2 houses down from that one. But it wasn't mine. I was just involved in the egg throwing.
Sounds like fun. I remember.
I was with the older guys, so we peppered the younger guys.
So it stayed outside the house though.
Yeah.
Because one time at a late night party at my place, it did turn into tomato baseball, so that got messy.
Well, you ever seen the movie Jackass there?
Yeah.
The guy comes in and hits the ceiling fan. That wasn't me, but it happened at that house. So not only got egged, you got the ceiling. It was Nezzy's house.
Oh dear, you guys sound like animals.
Not us. There was a couple older guys that were pretty bad, but
well, things weren't much different at Western Michigan. So, but I guess you guys were our biggest rivals through school. That's another part we never really talked about. Is Ferris and Western Michigan were the big rivals, right?
Yep. There's that whole Michigan, like Western Michigan, Michigan State.
Michigan,
Northern, like it was always a battle when you were going into those rinks. Like it's fun to play in, but when you came out, it didn't feel good.
Oh man, it was a tough league. There was really.
It was back in the day when you could do stuff too, like hooking, grabbing, some slashing. I
actually, one of my best nights of college, I think, was my freshman year. We beat you at home, like sold out barn, because you guys were ranked like top 10 in the country. And at the end of the game, our goalie scored a goal. Do you remember that?
Really?
Mike Mantua. Yeah. It was definitely, you guys were ranked top 10 and our goalie scored a goal to seal it. And the place just went absolutely Looney Tunes. And it turned into like one of the best college nights ever.
No way. I don't know. How do you guys remember this stuff?
No, I remember it just because I'm thinking of Ferris, Western Michigan, and that night. I remember that night. That's all I remember is the goalie scoring. And it was against Ferris. I don't know if you were playing.
Probably. Maybe.
Okay, so moving on. Let's get a rundown of minor hockey to the Cornwall Colts.
Minor hockey. So, played Seaway Valley, which is, well, I played house league for a couple of years, like we all do, right? Mm-hmm. And then, I ended up playing AA hockey, which is, equivalent now to, I guess, AAA or whatever they call it now. But I played Seaway Valley all the way up till 15. And then we have a junior B league around here, which is kind of changed a bit, but it was a bit older then. So I went and played got cut from junior A, too small. And then went and played junior B with 20-year-olds. Had a decent year. And then got protected by the team that I got cut by. And then played Colts for.
So is the Colts the team you were protected by?
Yeah.
Woolen Shop. That's from my sponsor, the Bayfield Brewery, just so you know. It's a brown ale that we're going with right now from the Bayfield Brewing Company. But so the Cornwall Colts is the tier 2 junior A then. And I did see that you got better each year. And then by the last year, you really did it, eh?
Yeah. Well, my first year, I had a great camp, blue and white game, they call it, which is the final cut or whatever. Like, I don't know, 5 minutes left in the game. It's pretty much over. We're winning. I kind of dump it in and make a crossover. A guy comes over and his name was Bubba. So we kind of fell. He landed on me and blew my collarbone. My collarbone was like this. So I missed the first 3 months of my first year junior. So I didn't get to play till I think it was November or something like that, or maybe October. But
you're hitting the desk again.
Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, you're all fidgety.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
kidding. No, anyway, no,
A
that
couple cans
sucks
in my
though.
hand there.
That sucks though when you're first getting into it, and then you got to try and like adjust in the middle of the season, and you haven't
Well,
played all year, and you're a rookie, right?
I'm a rookie, and I was just like, man, like playing. I was working out, but because it was my right hand, that's my writing hand, my throwing hand. We had a badminton or ping pong in our, so I played left-handed,
Did you get
and
pretty good?
I got pretty good at left hand. So then, yeah, that was part of my workout halfway for the first part of the season. And my buddy that had made it too blew his knee out. So we were two injured guys. Like we'd go for our workout, ride a bike and whatever, and then 45 minutes of ping pong.
Oh, that'd be
For two and
fun.
a half, but yeah, it was. I didn't hate being injured, but at least I had a partner to do it with. But
Yeah, being injured sucks, but that's good. You had fun playing ping pong. Ping pong's a great sport. We played a ton back in junior.
yeah,
Um,
we actually Sheffield ended up getting one in
oh, that'd be
the
fun to warm up,
press
play a
room
little.
there.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
I was a big two-touch guy though. I really excelled at it. I had some moves people hadn't really seen, you know.
yeah. With your hands?
No, I did a lot of shoulder strikes.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I pretend I was gonna head it and then turn and off the back. You know,
Oh,
I was
nice.
pretty tricky on the two-touch court.
I didn't want to play. The British guys were too good.
Oh,
They took like they'd one and then they would fire it at you, and I'm like, really? Like I'm gonna get in the
I was in
face.
Germany for 6 years though, man, and there was a lot of football there too.
Yeah, and that's where it started. Was like lasers at you, and the guys would just like they would catch it, but I would be coming at me, and I'd be putting my hands up. So after the first couple of times when you're out, you kind of leave the group and find something else, find a better way to warm up.
Well, that sounds like ping pongs for you then.
Yeah.
Okay, where were we? So then, yeah, you're in junior. Was your team ever good?
Well, we were ranked. It was funny because my buddy Hugo he's still there. Actually, I think he's coaching in Kessel's or
Castle?
Kessel.
Hugo
Yeah.
Guaver?
Yeah.
Best face-off man ever?
Yeah.
The
Oh,
guy
you would have played. You would have played
I've
against
never
him.
seen the guy lose a face-off with his old wooden stick. He just broke everybody's stick.
That's it.
Yeah, I know Hugo. What a yeah.
Well, he married a Cornwall girl.
Okay.
So
He was on the team my first year in Germany. I was with Landsuit, and we lost in game 5 of a best of 5 in the finals to Castle, and he would have been the captain.
that's right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Small world, this hockey world is, eh?
Hugo played in Cornwall for the Colts.
Never lost a face-off.
Yeah, and that's the guy I looked up to. He's my center. He went to Ohio State for, I don't know if he went for 3 or 4. I think he might have left, but he played in the A forever and then went over to Germany. And yeah, now he lives there and he's trying to get back. We usually have a good outing there, Highland Games weekend, but with the border and everything. And
yeah, he hasn't been back in a while.
No,
so the Cornwall girl has moved over there, and he's Canadian. So he's coaching over there, but like he's plans on continuing to coach over there.
Yeah, he was. Where was he? He was in.
Didn't he go to Dresden for a bit?
Was it Dresden?
I don't know, but when I played against him, he seemed like a natural coach, like that he would seemed like a great captain and would transition into being a leader as a coach too.
He's just a great all-around great guy. I mean, and now he speaks fluent German, so that's 3/4 of the battle, especially having the imports. I think he's in the second league, so you only allowed 5? The 5 or 4?
Well, when I was over there was 6 one year. It was 5. It was 4. I don't know what it is now. I have no clue.
Yeah. So anyways, back to.
So you're ranked. We got that sidetracked.
16 teams, I think there was in the league. We were ranked 16. We ended up not playing for anything. So 10 and 11. Yeah, 10th. So we ended up 10th. So we did good. I mean, we had a young Germans. So I don't know. There was me, Adam Mitchell.
Is this in Landsberg?
Landsberg.
when did we get to Landsberg? This is how did you get there?
So I'm working in the summer. I'm ready to sign back in Dayton. And my agent calls me. He's like, you know what? He goes, I got a deal for you in Germany. He goes, the money's okay, but he goes, you start there and you can build your way up. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, where is this? He's like, Landsberg. And I'm like, okay. He's like, it's about 40 minutes south of Munich. Beautiful city, Munich. He goes, Landsberg's like 2,000 people. I'm like, okay. Anyways, I sign and head over, and the rest is history.
I feel like you skipped a lot there because we were playing for Cornwall, and then all of a sudden you were in Landsberg. But I forgot a whole section of my show is where and what are you doing now?
What am I doing now? Well, when I moved back,
So you're back in Cornwall?
Yeah, we moved back to Cornwall when I retired, and I was at the hockey academy. So Cornwall has a high school hockey academy from, actually now they have Bantam kids. So from 13 to 18, and they got midget AAA, midget AA. They have an elite team that travels to everywhere, Boston to out east and I coached. I was coaching.
And that's what you did when you got out of hockey. You started coaching right away.
And I started coaching right away with a buddy that I played juniors with, Pat Turcotte, and it was awesome. And then I just decided that with the two boys coming up, I got two young boys, 7 and 4. I had to find something a little more time, not because I was working 7 days a week, 6 days for sure. But if we go to a tournament, so I work
gone all weekend.
Yeah, I'm gone on the weekend. Well, the boys are like, Dad, I want to go skating. I want to do this. So I took a job at a big company here in Cornwall. It's shift work, but it's the mill, not the mill, but I call it the mill.
Yeah.
It's a big, huge company. It's BSF. It's they have a company in Germany has 60,000 people. It's based out of Germany. So they make we make 5 or 6 products, and yeah.
So it's decent. You're happy. You're all good. You got more time with the kids.
I punch in, I punch out.
Leave it there.
And that's what I was looking for that when I came home. I wanted to stay in hockey, and I'm going to be helping my little fella. I don't put my name as coach. I end up being the coach.
Yeah.
But it's just, I love the part of me going to watch my son play hockey now. And that's where it's at. I still love playing. I play Mondays and Thursdays with some boys, a couple beers not so much now there, but it should start back up in September. But yeah. I'm just glad that, I found something here in Cornwall. Cornwall's kind of slowed down with jobs and stuff. A lot of Ottawa, Montreal. I'm kind of glad I landed something decent here. And
where you are,
where I am, I'm not traveling. I'm home. Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. That's awesome. Good work. Everybody has different paths when they get out of hockey. It's good you found something and in the town you want to be in. I'm the same way. I moved to a town and had to find something in this town, and it worked out, thankfully. So yeah, I get it. Because it's not always easy to find a job you like in the town you want, right? Especially when you're our age, getting out of hockey, right?
Well, that's it, right? Like, well, what have you been doing for the last 20 years? Well, trying to play hockey,
playing games on Fridays and Sundays usually.
Yeah, exactly. So,
ran a pretty good power play.
Yeah. So what are your skills? I can skate well. I can shoot. It was pretty funny because I know the guy that kind of helped, get me hired, and they're all eventually everybody's played hockey or whatever, right? So they knew my skills on the ice, and they're like, well, yeah, I think, and that's what I used for my interview. I could do drills, and I've been doing drills for 20 years. It's a process, and so they liked it, and yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, hockey players know way more about teamwork and just like the way an organization's ran, where they are positioned in the organization. Are you the first line center? Are you the fourth line winger?
Well,
Like, what are you? Are you the coach? Are you the equipment manager? Like, we all know where our role is, but we're all willing to help each other succeed. And when you translate that to the real world, there's a lot of people that aren't willing to help the guy beside them because they want to look better, whatever it is. And it's like, if you just help people, it all comes around and everybody will do better, right?
Everybody does their little piece. We'll all get along. And that's it. And it's like a team. And we have different shifts and there's A, B, and C. And I'm like, if A does their shit, if B does their shit,
then we're all good.
Everything's going to run smooth. But if B tries to screw the dog and C gets mad and then it doesn't work.
Exactly. No, and it's the same everywhere. It's the same like on a hockey team. If one guy doesn't block the shot, it ripple effect. But okay, we were in Cornwall and I wanted to know how you end up in Ferris.
Okay, so
because you had a huge year, so why Ferris?
I'll be honest with you, they flew in and came to my game.
Where would you fly into Cornwall?
No.
I was gonna say I have.
You fly into Ottawa. I think they flew into Ottawa or Montreal. It's
how far away is that? I don't even know.
50 minutes from Montreal to Ottawa. I'm right in the middle, right on the water. Yeah. So, yeah, Jeff Blashill, who's coach at Detroit now, flew in. I remember the night we were playing Cumberland. I had 1 goal, 7 assists or something like that. So he comes to my house. And this was like the Saturday night game. So what do you do after the Saturday night game? Boys want to go out, right? Yep. So I'm like, well, I got a meeting at my house. And so he comes to my house and we literally put the paper right there. And he goes, I know Ohio State wants you. Because I was going to go to Ohio, but they wanted me
the year after
because Al Wager and Johnny Marco had their like Cornwall connection. Al was my coach. Johnny Marco is from Cornwall.
And he was the coach at Ohio State, right?
Coach at Ohio State that time. So what he wanted, he was like, well, Al, I'll let you keep him for another year. And then but I was like, man, I had to get out of Cornwall. I'm like, we've already
won time. Well, look at the year you had. You can't stay for another year.
Well, we won back-to-back championships. We won everything. Like,
you did? It didn't say that on.
Yeah.
So you guys won it all too in your hometown.
Yeah. So my first year, we didn't do very well. My second year, we won to the Nationals in Fort McMurray. We got smoked, but we won the Eastern Championship, went to the Nationals, and then the following year we won the league again, and we got beat out in the finals in the Eastern Championship.
So did you go on any visits to any other schools, or when they fly in, they put the paper in front of you and you just sign her?
No, they flew me down. I went to Ferris for a weekend. Well, they flew me out the Saturday morning. I watched a Saturday night game because I had to be back and play on Sunday night. Wow. Let's put it this way. The game wasn't very good on Sunday.
Were you not a good guilty player?
Oh, I was, but I wasn't at that time.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Later in my
you got it. Yeah, you learn how to become a pro, right?
That's it. But, it was. That was the key. When I flew in, the town was small. I'm from a small town. The guys were unbelievable. I'm assuming it's like that at every place, but this place kind of. I didn't need a car. I could walk from one end to the city, the library. It was beautiful. I didn't spend much time in there, but just everything about the city. It had its own golf course. I was just getting into golf. There's a lot of positives.
Well, there's a lot of guys that would want Ohio State in the big city of like Columbus, or there's guys that would want, it's Big Rapids, right? And like
Michigan, yeah.
for me, I went to Boston to Northeastern, and they wanted me the year earlier, which I would have been going like when I was 17 or whatever. Um,
Okay.
and I decided to wait a year and go to Kalamazoo because like I didn't want to go to Boston. It was too big of a city, and then Kalamazoo was littler and it felt
That's
more like country, right? There was some fields
That's
around and
sweet.
stuff.
It was the feel. That's exactly what it was for me. I was like, man, I could do this. The party was fun. We went to the hockey house, and hockey houses, and whatever. It was
Threw
easy.
eggs at them.
Yeah, not that time. But yeah, it was a great visit. Bob Daniels, to this day, I think he made me the player I was. I changed a lot from juniors to, and you have to the college game is so different than juniors. And even though my junior coach, he gave us a lot of leeway, but I don't know if I ever played defensively in juniors, but in college you had to, or else you didn't play, right? So
Yeah, no, I remember all those lessons too, because if you don't do it, you just don't play, right? And
well, that's it. And I hated sitting on the bench. So
yeah, me too. So I just wrote down a couple notes. We've covered a bunch of them, like Kunitz and Collins. But like, so when you go on your trip and it's a small town and everything, that rink, like, it's got some character, but it's kind of shitty, right?
well, if you seen what I came from, it's a spitting image, right? Like in Cornwall, the Cy Miller's, it's gotten torn down now, but it was a shoebox, like small fans right on top of you. Like the end zone went really high. Uh, Ferris 3/4 bowl,
There was the
every
dog
night.
pound, right?
Yeah, the dog pound. That's it.
I
So
remember when we were junior B and we went to watch that game at Ferris and we like were hanging out in the student section and like there'd be people crowd surfing, right?
oh yeah. I'm still friends with some of them on Facebook, Jeff Meyer and all those, like they were hardcore pounders. Yeah, it was funny.
The pounders, hey,
Because I don't know how those glasses held up for those guys. They would like run, jump into it,
yeah.
hammered. So I don't know how that thing would not give away, but it never did. But
It was a fun rink, like especially when you get the big rivals from the Broncos coming in, and like, yeah, for some reason, our whole college career, I think it was because the boys knew that if we won at home, everybody get to have like the best night of their lives. We were so much better at home than we were on the road in college.
oh, I think everybody.
Like everybody was, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't know if you were really allowed out if you lost on the Saturday night. I mean, if you had a split, okay, that you might feel okay to go out, but
Yeah, but not it would they usually let you know when you're leaving the rink Saturday if she was a green or red light, eh?
yeah.
Yeah, so okay, the dog pound. And then I got well, one thing I was curious about your options going pro is because yeah, your sophomore year you're playing with Kunitz and you have a huge year. And people might think it's because you're playing with Kunitz, but then your senior year, you put up another great season of 44 points without him. But your whole career, you do play with Nesbitt, and he's still playing hockey.
I know. I've texted
He's
him.
still playing hockey.
He goes, my beard's a little gray these days, but he goes, I'm gonna give her another go. I think he's in great shape, man. That's the battle. If you want to keep yourself in great
That battle
shape,
is real.
oh, tell me about it. My wife tells me every day. She goes, "Well, when are you gonna start hitting the gym again?" Babe, I've been in the gym for 20 years. I'm gonna take a little break.
Little break. That little break turns into a long break real
Yeah,
quick.
5 years now.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty good on the stationary bike for 20 minutes, and what used to be like my warm up is now, and it feels like a solid workout.
Yeah. I jump on the rollerblades every once in a while with the boys, and we go for a rip, and that's how I stay in shape. A shape, I guess.
Yeah, I've been doing some rollerblading with the kids as well. It's it's good to get the rollerblades back on. Eh?
No, I'm just scared to fall.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if so then playing with Nesbitt all 4 years, eh? Like
Yeah.
you guys obviously had quite the connection. Like you guys probably were line mates for what, 4 years, right?
Yeah, we played together pretty much from from the day that we arrived and when we left. And I probably, looking back, as much as South Carolina was good, we should have went to Atlanta with him, but to Gwinnett.
And played with him.
And
have the connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was curious why you guys didn't go together. You seem like a package deal, but like we
were going to sign in Vegas. Vegas flew us down. We went down there for our senior trip and booked some golf, and they showed us the rink, and I was like, Nezzy, if I sign in Vegas, it's not going to be good. Like we can visit, we can say, yeah, talk to them, say, okay, yeah, it looks good, but we're not signing in Vegas.
No, I would agree. Vegas wouldn't even be for me though. Like I hate losing money you work for, and like it'd be too big for me, right? It just wouldn't be for me.
Well, that's what I mean. Like we went from Big Rapids to Vegas, like one extreme to the other. So I settled in South Carolina, and he went to Gwinnett, and Jeff Pyle, I got to talk to him a couple of times. I almost went there my second year, but I ended up going to signing in Germany.
But so when you're leaving school, though, you probably don't have many options because is it not the lockout?
No, it was the year before. So my senior year, it was the year before me.
Oh.
It was Brett Smith's year.
I thought it was your rookie year was the lockout.
No, it was. So we had just came back from it. Yeah, because I remember Brett Smith and them. Brett had a good year. He was a good, hardworking player, but there's no place to play. Like it was just
nowhere. Yeah, Captain Ronnie, India Pale Ale. Okay, so I was curious about your pro options because like I played against it and you were a great college player, and like sometimes the guys that got drafted, I know they were better than us when they were 16. I get it. Or 17 or 18. Yeah. I get it. They were better than us then. But you, Nesbitt, myself, and a few other guys around the league that were not drafted, you can't tell me those guys were still better than us, right?
But that's the thing about being drafted, man. They've already sunk their money and their time and effort into them, and
oh yeah, and the development guy, the coaches they're paying for, and the scouts and protecting each other.
We can talk.
It's quite the landscape.
Well, that's it, and I see it nowadays. A lot of teams are taking, chances on undrafted players, which is good to see. It gives them a chance to prove themselves, even if they're a late developer or whatever the case may be, or maybe they had an injury when they were in their key years before being drafted. So I was always 5'8", 140 pounds, soaking wet. So
I was tipping the scales at almost like 195 there, but I was still 5'8".
I remember going in at Ferris with pucks in my hoodie to try and put some in a water bottle to try to see. And they're like, "Louis, what do you have in your pocket?" I'm like, "Nothing." They're like, pulling water bottle. I got pucks and.
You're trying to be heavier?
I was trying to be heavier just to put it on my.
And I pretty profile. Well should. I was pretty well starving myself for a week to try and weight less.
I could have used some. But...
Oh gosh, that's two different things then. Okay, so I tried to go from like 5'7" to like I think at one point I got them to rate 5'9" in the program, and then I think it was like my senior year, I was trying to push for 5'10", and they're like, that is way too far. You've pushed it way too far.
Yeah. I got 5'10" on mine. I probably 5'9", but whatever. Yeah, I was trying to get 6 foot, just an even 6 foot, but no, now they got those blades on the ice there, those LS3s or 4s. I would have been okay.
Oh dear. No, I went camping with the family there last weekend, and my daughter was like an inch too short to go on the water slide, and geez, it just hurts being short sometimes. Okay, so you play the year in South Carolina, which was a really nice place. That's a nice place to live and
beautiful play. I mean, as a first year pro,
leaving hard to focus.
Well, that was the problem. Like,
are the Gamecocks there?
Yeah.
The school?
Yeah. Well, there's two universities there, Gamecocks, and what's the other one right across?
So,
This, yeah.
so there, I don't South Carolina. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But so there's two universities, and
There's two universities there.
you're a young professional hockey player trying to focus on getting out of the coast, eh?
Yeah. And I'm leaving the rink in flip flops and shorts, and the guys are like, "Okay, we're going to the gym, 40-minute workout, and then we're going to the golf course, and then we're gonna go out." Like that's was the routine. I'm like, I'm here to play hockey, man. Like, and you go to the beach, or you could like the year round. It was
just fun every day.
Yeah, it was just fun every day. Like, and man, and that's why I was why is there a lot of older guys here? You know what I mean? Like, there's only a couple of young pups here, and then we got some older veteran guys, and
that are just enjoying the game.
Yeah, they're just exactly
not trying to still give her. So, how tough of a day was it when they tell you you're traded from there to Daytona Beach, Ohio?
Yeah, well,
tough day.
Honest, it was tough. I'm like, they brought in an older guy, and they traded me and my roommate. He went to Columbia, maybe, and I was going to Daytona.
Oh dear.
And so I get in my car and start heading down. And first of all, I don't know where this place is. Like, I'm like, so I call my dad. I'm like, okay. He goes, well, you jump on, and they didn't have side. So you jump on the 49 or whatever, and you head down. My dad was a truck driver, so he knew.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the 75.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember. So I jump on it, head down there. I get there, and yeah, I didn't even look at the standings. So I get there, and they're like, "Oh, so you're here for the last 10 games?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're out of the playoffs, man." I'm like,
so you went from your senior year of school to getting traded at the deadline to a non-contender.
So
that's craziness.
So I put a big sour taste in my ECHL career, and which was big. That's pretty much why I left. I didn't want to deal with the travel. I'm getting traded tomorrow. Like, I'm done. I'm going to play for a team. If they like me, they like me. If not, then I'll just come home and I'll pack it in. And I end up having a good year over in Germany. And I was going to sign back, but
can I ask a little bit about Daytona Beach? So you were only there for 10 games. Was Don McAdam the coach? Did you know that he wrote the book Hockey for Dummies or whatever? Did you know he's the author?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe he wrote the book Hockey for Dummies.
Wow.
Yeah, I played hockey for him the next season after looking at. I was
just going to say you were there too, and I was like, oh, Wright State University or something was there, and
that was the Nutter Center. That was the arena we played out of. Was for Wright State University's like basketball net courts, right?
Yep.
Nice. Nice.
Did you ever go to the Fox and the Hound? Or
I was more on the other side of town. We were frequent goers of Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think it's where we were staying. We were only like 3 minutes because that's where they had their fan forum things or whatever it was that we would have to attend. And
yeah, when I was there's basically two different sides of town. There was apartments on one side and the other side, and I was the further away from the arena that we didn't go to the Fox and the Hound, but the other guys did. Yeah. Hot spot there. Yeah. But yeah, Don McAdam was a hoot too. But yeah, we went to the finals and almost won it with Daytona Beach. It was something else. Yeah, it was something else. We lost in the finals to Idaho, and I'm pretty sure I saw Nesbitt was on that team, wasn't he?
He was on it. So I would have signed
and back Silverthorne, there. The goalie.
Who?
Silverthorne, the goalie. Do you remember him or no? You wouldn't know him because he's a different path of mine. Okay. Anyways, no, I saw it. So Nesbitt was on the team that beat us in the East Coast finals. Yeah.
And Rollo would have been
Rollo or Rallo?
Rallo.
Is that right?
Balls.
I always
Rallo.
called him Rallo, but yeah, no. No, you guys, we had a lot of battles against you guys at Ferris. You guys had some good players.
Yeah, they always pick, especially towards like after we left, they picked up some really good players that, like I think Barry was there, and who was the other one? I stopped following them for a bit, and then you kind of get back into it when you come back home.
Well, they had one guy I've met. He was in a wedding party. My kids were the flower girl and ring bearer was Jerry Mayhew. He's played some games for the Minnesota Wild lately.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a Fair State boy, but okay. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked again. Is going to Germany then, I understand why you go there. I know the little rink you played in, so you basically back to like feeling at home in that little rink in Landsberg, eh?
Well, that's it. The worst part about it is when you practice in the morning, because it had glass on the one side, the sun would shine in. So yeah, we'd have to switch the drills and come back down, or else the goalies couldn't see the puck.
Yeah. I've had a couple. Yeah, when the sun's coming in, man, it's coming in.
Which made me laugh because it's like, why would they put glass? But then there was rinks that didn't even have ends in them.
They didn't even have
like
walls.
Is it Augsburg?
Oh, I know that's the deal. Kunitz.
Definitely. But there was one just down the road from Landsberg. It was like
even Schwinnigan was open air too. It's their Kaufbeuren.
That's it.
Yeah, no, there was some beauty rinks over there, eh?
Like it was summertime. You're wearing shorts and no ends in the rink, and you walk in and you go down and there's ice, and you're like, how is this possible right now? And it was good.
And then there was times where it was so cold, like the water bottles are frozen.
Yeah. Did you get used to the water there? The bubbly.
I didn't mind the bubble water with lemon in it by the end. Like, I would rather just chug like tap water though.
Yeah.
Oh. They love their bubble water, don't they?
Bubbly water. Oh. Yeah. But then towards the end, that's what I wanted. I know.
Then it started quenching your thirst more, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then the times where they wouldn't put ice and pop. They will not do it. They will not put ice and pop. And I'm like, why? And then they're like, it waters it down. It doesn't taste the same. And I was like, guess you're onto something here. Like when they're freezing the glasses, they're like, no, we'll not put ice in there because it doesn't taste the same. Think about it, folks. Yeah. I don't know. The countries are different. They're also putting mayo on their ketchup and mayo on their French fries, right? So who's right? Who's wrong? I don't know. I put sweet and sour on mine sometimes.
I'm a hot sauce. Yeah. Hot sauce.
Okay. Moving on. So you decided to leave Landsberg after a good year, which is a good decision because they go bankrupt the next year. So good choice.
Hence why they couldn't offer me more money. And you know what people kind of make in ballpark and other teams and what they put out. And I'm like, well, I had like 28 goals. Like I should be getting a little bit more.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you just hold it out. And, you'll make it we'll get you in the DL. And I was like, so anyways, my coach, who was my agent, Mitchell is good friends with Matzos, who was coaching in Sheffield. So I kind of went there and yeah.
You're hitting the table again. You're getting all handsy on me.
Oh, it was my phone.
But yeah, so then that's when I think I'm with Bietigheim and we go play against you guys. So that might have been your first year on that team because that was the coach when I went over there, I think. Yeah,
my first year was 07, 08.
Yeah, so that's when I'm in Landshut. So I came your second year, then when I go to Bietigheim, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, so what I guess I understand why you go to Sheffield now. And some of the notes I got written down, I don't know what you want to go with here, but I got Joe Talbot, pressure, like Sheffield has pressure, right, to win. So you pick which one you want to talk about there.
Well,
do both.
Yeah. When I came in, Joe was there and a great guy, like soft-spoken, easy-going guy, has a coffee with a little bit of Bailey's in it before the game, like, and talks like this, and then he gets out in the ice and he scores goals, he can fight, he does everything, right? Like, and I just got lucky enough to play with him and Shep to start off, and
Shep, who's Shep?
Doug Shepard.
Mm,
Uh,
I don't think
end
I
up
know.
kind of. I think he's still coaching. He lives there now. He's from the East Coast. Married a British girl, and but he was Basingstoke. He was in Basingstoke forever, and then came to Sheffield, and then went back to Basingstoke to coach. To yeah, and I think he's coaching somewhere in that. I don't know if Basingstoke's in the second league or if they're in the third league, but he's coaching in that area. Yeah,
Okay.
just
So that's your line, you Talbot and him, and
yeah,
you guys do well then.
yeah. And John Boy was on there too. Like it was a mixed match. We had, you know how it is. And then we only had really three lines and a bit. Like when I first went over,
That's
and
right.
then
They'd have three lines and a guy, right? Like you
yeah, like
that
that.
even when I went like 2014, that was still kind of what a lot of teams were going with. And then like by the time I was leaving, it was like all four lines. And like I would rather play with three. I personally would rather
Well,
play with three.
especially the schedule we had. I mean, it was only 56 games or 52 games. You know, like 2 games a week. I mean, three. We could run three lines, and you know, it did end up being more. Most of my career, anyways, was three. You know, three lines, and then mix in the fourth line here and there. But yeah, I mean, Joe's. You know, you look at his points, man. The guy had like 250 goals or 200 some goals, and he only played. Was it 4 seasons or was he there 5 seasons?
Is that right?
Yeah.
He was scoring that many goals. Like I remember
Like
going over there and
40,
playing
he
you
was
guys.
averaging like 40 a year or something like that. Yeah.
I remember hearing about him when we went over there. Like he was the big cheese.
He had this little off pace thing there. Like it was just, but his stick was, he wouldn't cut his stick, just put tape on it, a little tape on the end there, and you go in and you just throw a little off pace. And it would always like seem to find the low under the glove, or you'd flick it over the glove. And
Little knucklers.
well, yeah, it wasn't even a knuckler. That was the thing. It was just a little, like a little sauce thing. And you just put it right over the pad under the glove. And you're like, I could have seen that. I could have saved that, Joe. He's like, no, you couldn't. And that's what he said. No, you wouldn't. Everything coach said, no, you wouldn't. And, oh, you just priceless. 2 words, 3 words. But that was it.
Actually, okay, next question because this was a very big day. I guess it was this morning when I woke up. Was this sounds ridiculous to say, but Simmsey's a big part of this. Was we were number one in the UK for hockey podcasts, and
No way.
number one in Denmark. So we were the number one hockey podcast in the UK and Denmark on the same day. So cheers, Simmsey, and every other guy that's came on, and to you. So thank you, everybody, especially like because it's so ridiculous. It's just us drinking beers in my shed. So thank you, Simmsey, for coming on, and you're at a record-breaking pace. But tell me about Simmsey because I didn't even know him until last week, and I tell you,
Really?
he sure made the pod snowball.
Wow. Where do I start with that guy? He's the heartbeat of Sheffield, man. That's when you say Sheffield, it's you think of Simmsey. I mean, when I first came in, there was Dave Matzos, Mike O'Connor, and Betty Waring was in the office. Those are the three, and then you had Simmsey and Andy Akers. Andy Akers was a trainer. Those are the people like heartbeat of Sheffield that
That was the whole
take care of your
organization.
flights, take care of your housing, everything, your cars. They did everything. And yeah, now he's still running it. Now Sheffield's kind of, it was here, and when I was leaving,
It's really ramped up, man.
oh
You should have seen when I went back to Cardiff. I went back over 2019 for a night, and I'm not joking, man. I'm in the coach's room before the game. They had radios up to guys up in the ceiling, like up in the rafters, and they're going radioing back and forth. And then I'm listening to the coaches talk about like who's gonna go win. it was weird. I'm sure there's coaching on the fly as well, but like they knew their rotation off of every power play after every penalty kill, which line was going with who, which D was going with who after each situation. And I listened to it all and I watched it all, and I'm like, do you guys remember when we were in the big blue tent, like just living, like just having fun and just playing hockey? Like this is so ridiculous what is going on. You got massage tables, you got cold tubs, you got like they had different gel bottles, everybody to do their hair. They had brushes and combs, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? This is so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's went from when I went over, I think they averaged like 4,000 fans. And now, if there's not 7,500 in that building every night, I mean, and
Simmsey's a big part of that. I don't want to get off topic. Like Simmsey,
that's what he does. He's the mouth, man. He can persuade anybody, and he knows, and he's fun to talk to because he's got so many stories that mind-blowing, that he's been through some rough times with the teams and he's been through some great times, and his way is winning, and that's what he wants to bring in, and that's why we stayed forever, because we knew that the organization was going to do anything they could to bring in a winning team, and
that's when hockey's fun.
And that's when hockey's fun, because they do everything for you. They take care of you. Like it was unbelievable. The housing was always great. The only time when I first moved, I was moving into a brand new place. They had to put me in the hotel because the carpet wasn't laid yet. So I was in Hellaby Hall for 2 weeks, and that was my first year. And after that, housing was awesome. It was brand new, friggin'. You lived in good areas, decent areas, and you weren't in, like the slums or anything. You know what I mean? Like you hear horror stories from other guys, like, cars getting broken into and whatever. But they always took care of us, and that's what made me want to stay there for as long as I did. I just felt like home, and they liked me, and I like playing for him. So,
well, and you did well, and when your team has success and you're doing well personally, like I had the same situation in Bietigheim for a couple of years, and it was like, yeah, like let's stay. Like this is comfortable. It's I'm happy. Yeah. Like why? It's not like we're making the NHL anymore, right? Like,
well, that's it, right?
Let's have some fun and be comfortable, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and win.
And the thing about the UK league, like, all they got to do is give you 2 weeks. Whereas Germany, they have to pay you out, and other leagues. So it's and in other sense like that, it's a tough place to play. You gotta earn your keep, and that's why you had to bring it every night. And Simmsey, he would let like, well, I think the boys had a tough night tonight. What were you up to there? And yeah, I know, Simmsey, they just weren't going my way. And then the next game you bared down, and
he's one of those guys you don't want to disappoint. And
well, that's it, right?
And like I like I said, I didn't really know him, and then just through that podcast a week ago, like you could tell his passion for hockey and winning, and for the Steelers, and you could tell he's the type of guy that would get guys pulling the rope, right?
Yeah, well, that's it, right? And another big thing with Sheffield and Simmsey and Mike O'Connor, and well, when my first year, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and I didn't know. They knew. They said, you're going home, and I was like, what? They're like, well, you got to go home. And then I was like, okay. So my wife now, which was my girlfriend at the time, she's like, you think you should go home? And I was like, well, why am I going home? They're like, you just get on the flight. So they paid for my flight. They flew me home, and I spent some time with my dad, and he told me the whole spiel, what was happening and whatever. And so he's like, but I want you to go back. And this is like March. I'm like, okay, but like we only got like 2 games left, and then the playoffs. And the playoffs is like 4 games, right?
Yeah.
So I went back, and from there, it just kind of, we end up winning the playoffs. And then the following year, like my dad said, you know, if you keep going, you should go back there and play. They took care of you. You know, you owe it to them to go back for at least one more year. So I went back and we ended up winning the league, and then we won the playoffs. And I was like, Christ, this is becoming a bit of a habit here. So, you know, it was just one of those things. They took care of me. And I think because they made that effort for me to take care of me and to send me home at that time when I needed to, I didn't want to leave.
Nice.
Just, yeah, you know, they just felt like family. So a lot of the fans are like really nice people. You know, you said it in the podcast. You go and have a beer with them after the game, and win or lose, as much as they wanted to win, they know that you gave it your all, and you're back in, and you're relieving some stress, and they'd buy you 3-4 beers and
on to the next game. And
exactly.
And you give it your all, because you know you talk it out with the fans, and like, yeah, you're pissed off, they're pissed off, you chat about it, have a beer, and then the next game you're like, it can't happen again. Like, next time we get to the bar, we're going to be having a celebratory beer, because it is way more fun, right?
Exactly.
The UK atmosphere, man, after some of the years I went through in Germany and how not fun hockey was, and it was kind of to the point where it was like, I don't know, it just, I guess losing wasn't fun, or like just the way coaches handled the team and the way it was, like going to the rink wasn't that fun. And then you get to the UK and you're like, oh my gosh, what a breath of fresh air. This is so fun. The fans are fun. Like, they're not the fans that are too aggressive that make you feel uncomfortable. They're, you know what I mean? Like some of the ones you might find in North America minor leagues type thing.
Yep.
Say Daytona Beach, there's a couple that would just could throw you off, you know, the way they, you know, like say they friend request you on Facebook, like wearing your jersey laying in a bathtub, right? Things like that, right? Things of that nature. So no, it's just a breath of fresh air going to the UK, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the league was up and coming, and you know, it was good in the mid 90s, I guess, and then they folded and it started a new one there early or late 90s or whatever it was, and
the Super League to the EIHL or something.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So
I meant to ask Simmsey about that last week and I forgot. Hazy Sunset. Okay, go ahead.
So where is this out? Is this in your hometown?
So I don't live where I grew up, but I'm in Kincardine, Ontario now, and the Bayfield Brewing Company had a guy on from there, Jeremy Welsh, and I had some time that week, and I said, well, do you want to have a sponsor? Like, where's your favorite place in town? And he said the Bayfield Brewing Company, and they're hockey fans. So I let them know they were going to be the sponsor that night, whether they liked it or not. And then it just blossomed into they have fantastic beer, and I go down there, have some of the best lunches I've had anywhere in a couple of years, and have a few beers, and then bring some home to pod.
Nice.
It's I couldn't be happier. And like, they're foodies and they like hockey, and they like beer, so they're pretty much just like me.
Yeah, because I was sponsored by Bradford Breweries when I was in England.
You were sponsored by a brewery in England?
Yeah. Yeah, Bradford Breweries. Yeah, John. Yeah, Big John.
I was sponsored by a guy that distributed meat in Germany, and he would give me bags of meat, and they wondered why I gained weight. So there you go. Manfred, the meat guy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still in Sheffield, by the way. So the pressure of playing in Sheffield, and like, were there at many times? Because I don't know how often they released guys. Simmsey, maybe, but you know, he was fair in what he said. But like, when guys, like if you guys went on a losing streak for say 3 weeks, usually you would know that something might go down after that third week, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think my first 3-4 years, they only released maybe the fighter towards the end to bring in maybe a
different type of player.
Yeah, because they didn't, you know, like I remember Cornish got released my first year, and Dan Tessier came in. So, I mean, they kind of got rid of Corny, who fought and, was a role player, to Dan Tessier, who was power play.
Skilled guy, little guy, little short left-handed guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that was like, other than that, I mean, I don't remember them switching up too many guys other than, if a guy wasn't performing, say he brought in to score and he's got like 1 or 2 goals in like 20 games, well, then there's it's part of the business.
What are you doing with your hands down there? What are you doing down there? Huh? Back off.
Making a noise?
I don't know. I think so. Something's happening. Yeah. What were you doing? You tickling me?
Is that what it
was? No, I was just like, I know that.
Oh, the wife says I'm playing with the table.
Yeah, I can hear it. I thought he was trying to tickle my belly button. But yeah, no, I knew there was pressure there, and like I felt it in Cardiff, man. Like we did well, and we didn't have a lot of expectations my first year. But if we did lose, like they had no business coming in and telling us how unacceptable losing was, and that life would not be the same if we were just losing. And like it's such a delicate thing, winning and losing, and how to handle it, whether it's one game of losing's okay and you're going to brush it off, or if they're going to come in and yell and scream and kick and shout, and like, it's every team has different ways of approaching it, I guess.
Yeah, I remember the one time our owner came in and put everybody on 2 weeks. Because remember, I think Simmsey told you about we had a couple guys that owned the team that were a little different. Well, this guy came in and he even put himself on 2 weeks, is what he said. He goes, I'm putting everybody on 2 weeks notice. He goes, including myself.
And this is the owner?
This is the owner. And we're like,
how does that work?
How does that work? We're all looking at each other. We're like, okay. We'll guess we'll deal with this one on Monday. But yeah, it was just the pressure. I mean, I guess I don't know.
You were always good though. You always
did but
good.
I think I worked hard and then I didn't feel the pressure. I mean, if I worked
you're right. If you're a good teammate and you work hard, that's
all I got. I mean, I don't put pressure on myself. I said, I'm just going to go work my balls off. And you know what? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, hey, you got to get rid of me. But I'm pretty sure you're not going to get rid of me because I'm working my balls off, and you can see that, And
I was the same way. Like when you're the type of guy that knows when you play good and knows when you play bad, and you don't accept playing bad because it's not in you, and you don't make excuses and you don't blame it on ice time or coaching or whatever, and you just go out and play, then it will be fine. Right?
They've seen that every shift that, we were trying to do better than the last one. And, the coaches seen that. And there's a reason why the coaches would want us back every year with it,
didn't matter who the coach was.
It didn't matter who the coach was. Matsos was the coach. Then Fergus, what's his? I'm so bad with names.
Hey, don't worry about it.
Ferguson I think it was Ferguson that took over.
You said you kind of remembered me, so that helped. That felt good.
I remember playing against you and then in Cardiff for sure. But I didn't know we went that far back in college, though. I was just like,
I didn't realize it was all 3 of the 4 years. I remembered you and Nesbitt, and some things stick out, some things don't. It's weird actually, but like I remember the 2 of you guys playing together. But then, to be honest, the finals against Idaho, like there was some moments of that series I remember, and like it's hard to really remember who was all on that team.
Yeah, I don't.
But when you start talking about it, it's weird how it comes back, right? Like it really is. It's weird. I know. Man.
Well, so when you asked me to be on, I was like, I got to look back at this stuff because he's going to be asking me questions. I want to know because you lose track of it over. It's like 15,
you really do.
15 years. Like or it was even more than that now.
But you were in Sheffield then for 9 years, right? So you'd lose track
Yeah.
of which season's which and what happened in what season, right?
That's right. Like they blend into. I was like, okay, I played with Talbot for 4, or Dad was at 5, and then
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
played
like
with.
when you're there that long, like well, imagine that Jono guy, right?
Well, exactly. He was there before me, and he's still there.
And the wild thing for me was like Simmsey seemed to remember basically everybody, and he's been doing it for longer than any of us.
I know. That's what it's crazy. It's almost like that phone of his. He's got something in it that like rings bells or something to make him remember all these stories. Like he tells me stories of stuff that I did or I was a part of, and I'm like, sure I was there, Simsy. He's
Oh,
like,
and there are people that remember all of it, and I'm like, stop telling me all this. I don't
yeah,
recall that. And, there's probably a reason why I don't recall
yeah.
that. So back off. Okay, what else do I got then? So of the mashed up 9 years, is there anything that sticks out as like your favorite teammates or seasons?
um,
Line mates, teammates, seasons, whatever you got, whatever you
yeah. I
want.
mean, my line mates, each year I was always set up with some good ones. Uh, Talbot, Shep, Tate, Jono. I played with Ramsey and Colt King. We had a good year. I mean,
Who's the Ramsey? What's the first name?
Mike Ramsey, little right shot.
Don't think I know him.
Yeah, he played in Central. He played with Kinger in the Central or something like that, and then came over like
He could
fast
play. Yeah.
play. Yeah, like
Oh, there's some guys in those minor leagues that like can really, really play.
yeah, and you're like, why didn't you come over sooner? And then he's got a family, and that's the biggest thing. He was comfortable where he was,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's just like us, but we were overseas.
Yeah.
So just yeah, it was just there's a lot of good players I played with. Sarich on the power play, me and him hooked up tons of times. Because I always played the point for the most part of my career was on the up top.
Is that right? On the offside for one
Yeah,
timers?
for
Yeah.
one timer.
It's easier to walk the line that way too, eh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was more of a shooter, and Rod sold it every time pretty good, and I would just open up and he'd send it back, and yeah, it was just a good shot. And then Roddy, same thing. We'd flip flop, and he was a left shot, so it was 2 left shots up top, and he could always drag it, or he could pop out and send his little wrister on the net. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's Layman, our goalie, but my first 3 years or 4 years, good character guy.
Schmitty episode 3. I think they played like junior together. He raves about him. And I
Yeah,
remember when we went to Sheffield, like they went to see each other and they were like really good buddies. Yeah.
yeah,
And like, when like it's weird because like when Schmitty's my good buddy and I know what type of dude he is, and then you're telling me about him, and I'm like, I can just tell how like if we were on the same team, we'd all just have a time.
that's it, right?
Yeah. And it's weird, like when you start a podcast and you bring on a couple guys, they know who you should have on. And like they tell you a couple names and then they tell you a couple names, and you're like, geez, I can do this for decades.
Yeah, that's it, right? Everybody's connected, and that's what I love about hockey world, man. Nobody knows what it's like till you're a part of it. And whether it's getting a job, like there's people that's reached out for jobs and after hockey, and somebody knows somebody, and it hooks up, and or a place to stay, and they got places in Florida or whatever the case may be. It's just, but you know somebody that has something going on, and yeah, the hockey world's awesome. I love it.
And yeah, man, I like doing this, and like now I feel like I know you, and like
Yeah,
I played against
we
you
played against
for,
each other enough.
I bet you we played, I don't know, I'd have to say at least 20 competitive hockey games against each other, maybe 30,
Yeah,
maybe more, but like never really talked to you. But like this is what I like, man. I always like the start of a season and like meeting the new guys, or like I'm going to a new team, you're like, where am I gonna fit on this team? Where like you got to try and if you're a new guy fit in, or if you're an established guy, you got to make the new guys feel welcome. And like doing the podcast, I feel like I'm catching up with my old buddies that I haven't seen since last hockey season, but I'm
Right.
also meeting the new boys.
The new boy, the new team.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, and that's what Sheffield was. I remember, like, we used to have mandatory Mondays, and
Oh dear,
the
Monday
first
fun days.
Monday fun day, that was the rule. When everybody got into town, when everybody was ready, if you only came, you didn't have to come for 10. You didn't. You could, if you only came for 2, that's fine.
And
But
if you don't want
you
to
had to
drink, you
come.
don't drink, but you're
That's
coming.
it.
You're
That's it.
coming.
You're coming. Exactly. And everybody always seemed to hit it off. We were playing pool or bowling, or I mean, there's a couple times there was like a roller disco at the bar, and but yeah, there's many stories we could tell. And
Yeah, and like obviously we talked about parts of the game changing during our time, but like the game changed a lot, man. From the time we were in university, where it was about like lifting as heavy weights as you could, and there were the practices. Like I don't know what it was like for you guys, but like we were fighting each other and battling and
yeah,
slashing each other and like hurting each other during the week
yeah,
before you play.
because you had 6 guys sitting in the stands that wanted to get into your spot.
Yeah, yeah, and they would come out for practice. Like if I hurt this guy, I might be in the lineup.
You might be in the lineup. That's it. Yeah.
And then it went to like then I went pro, and I like when I first went pro and I was in the AHL, like there was still like finished practice, like let's walk across the road and have soup, sandwich, and beers, right? And then you'd go back to the hotel and have a nap or whatever. And by the end, it was like you got to have a cold tub, a protein shake, foam roll, and have a meeting with the coach and go over some video. And you're like, this isn't even fun.
Well, it's funny you say that. My first 7 years in Sheffield, we didn't have any testing, or it might have been 6 years, anyways. All of a sudden, they bring in testing, and we're like, "What?"
Yeah.
So we do vertical. We're doing like running. Guys are like pulling their groins, and like we're like, so why do we do this? Like, we've been successful for the last 6 years. Like maybe 1 or 2 seasons where it wasn't very well, but whatever, you can have those. But now we're bringing in this, and people are getting hurt right off the bat, and you're having to bring in extra guys so that's kind of weeded me out a bit there. But I was always in decent shape, but the speed for sprinting and
it is just all the, if you can get an edge in any way, you got to do it. And it's like, well, you know what getting an edge is sometimes is having Monday Fun Day with a team, and everybody becomes a team, and they're all willing to eat that puck for each other or block that shot for each other because they had Monday Fun Day and not a freaking cold tub, right?
Exactly. In a protein bar.
Yeah. Sorry, but when you actually like love each other and you do anything for each other, you win a lot more than if you had a cold tub and a massage.
That's it.
Okay, as long as we agree.
Milkshakes and protein shakes was never part of my game.
No, I never got into it. I tried to pretend one year in Denmark just to fit in, and it didn't work. They could see right through me. So the only other question I have then is, because we were finishing around the same time, but I saw you played in the Champions Hockey League, which would have been pretty cool. Did you get to be in a video game? Because I know the Devils were in a video game like PlayStation. Did you ever get to be on one?
I don't think so.
I think you were 1 year before. I think the next year they put them in the
did it.
That is just, it hurts, because it hurts me that I would buy a PlayStation just to buy that game for my kids if I could, and I can't do it. I never did it. It wasn't on a game,
because we were the first part of the Champions League.
That's right. And then the next year they decided to, whoever was in the Champions League would get in the game, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right, because we went to Sweden and got rocked.
Who'd you play?
Frölunda or something.
Oh yeah, no, that would hurt.
It was like 1-0 or 2-1 after like the second, and we were like holding, or maybe it was 3-1. But then the third period, we were just holding on for dear life, right?
You could feel it coming.
Oh yeah, it was just a matter of time where it was going to break loose, and it did.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, so the only other things I got is actually one thing I almost forgot is there was a season which was the year I went to the UK. You were a steel dog, not a stealer.
That's right.
What happens there?
Okay, so the year before,
That's the second league, folks. The Steel Dogs are the second league. The Steelers are the first league. This is a global podcast, we gotta let the fans know.
Yeah. So I break my jaw in the playoffs against Coventry. Got a slap shot to the face.
Oh dear.
And I was
on accident, or you weren't blocking it?
No.
Yeah, it just hit you. I was gonna say.
Oh, we had a play where it was like I want it back. It goes down the half wall. I go to the net. It's kind of like a little slap pass, and you'll tip it towards the net.
And someone tipped it before you, and it came up and hit you in the face.
No, the guy cross-checked me.
Oh.
And when he cross-checked me, I went face first onto the ice, and it came across and it took me right in the jaw. So broke here, blew out here. And yeah, so anyways, long story short, I ate out of a milkshake. Speaking back to protein, my wife was mixing like Oreos and everything in a milkshake for like 3 months. And then, so I was 170, dropped down to like 145.
You make me want to puke.
So
get over yourself.
Yeah, so I don't know. We just had our newborn. Mason was just born in December 31st, and I was kind of maybe taking a step back. I was trying to lead into maybe coaching, and kind of didn't know what I was gonna do. And so
you're handsy.
I got offered this assistant coach job with the Steel Dogs to help out and to play, and I figured that's the kind of path I was going to take. And
so you were doing it for the experience, to play and coach, to then come back to Canada, or
because I was only I was thinking of going to be living over there. We're going to stay there, and
coach over there and type thing,
maybe play till 40 in the second league. You know what I mean? Like they make some decent money in the second league.
Setting up shop,
right. So that was my plan. I couldn't do it. It was it was like a tough place to when you're taken care of so good. Okay, and don't get me wrong, they took care of me. But when you're in the second period of a game and you get to lose an edge, and I got to do the rest of the game with no edge
without turning left.
Yeah. And the first thing is I sent my skate over to the other team to get it sharpened. It came back like twice as work.
Like,
now I got no right edge, so I'm playing with one leg, and I'm like, this is brutal. So and then Sheffield was kind of in the midst of making a bit of a run, and they wanted me back, and Simmsey kind of see me, and he's like, you don't look right. I'm like, well, just having a hard time adapting to.
You were missing it. You were missing the real deal.
Exactly. And everybody wants to play at that level forever, but sometimes you got to take a step back and think of the bigger picture. But they signed me to a 2-year deal, and I stayed there for 2 more years, and then hung them up.
Yeah. So then you knew that was that. So you knew it was over after that last year then?
Well, going into that last year, like I wasn't playing well. Like it wasn't, when you hold yourself to high expectations, like, and you're not, you're not fulfilling it, and you don't feel like you're doing your part. And I just kind of said, you know what, I think it's time to maybe think about the real life, maybe head back and start coaching. And because I talked to my buddy a couple of years before that, and he said he'd always have a spot for me coaching. And at the academy, they do so much. There's teaching, because I have a degree, I was able to teach. And
well, like I know you wanted to get into the coaching and that, but like I honestly really respect your decision to not be doing that, to be with your kids.
That was the toughest part. As much as I want to give back to the game and to the community, it's just I got two rugrats here that they fly around and they want to be with dad, and we do so much stuff. We four-wheeler, we do there's so much stuff other than hockey and life that you don't realize till you have kids, and it's time to grow up and do those fun little things that I like to do as well. I mean, I love four-wheeling, I love dirt biking. I had one growing up my whole life.
And we didn't do it for a long time, right? Like I dirt biked till 13, and then I had like my Bantam coach say, like, you really shouldn't do that anymore. And like it was the same with water skiing, wakeboarding, and then for me, it's like my knee. They tell me I can't do anything, and I'm like, and I live that way. I'm like, well, I'm not allowed to do this. I'm not allowed to do that. And eventually, I was like, well, like it hurts. It doesn't work right, but like I gotta live. Like you gotta do stuff, right?
That's it, and that's what it's come to. So I mean, I'll eventually get back into coaching, maybe someday when they're a bit older. And but I love the game. Anytime I see people out, we talk hockey all the time, and it's part of me, and I'll never let that part die. So it's just one of those things that when somebody says Jeff Legue, they think hockey, especially in Cornwall, growing up here. And
you say it to me, that's what I think of.
Yeah. So,
but like most people would think Sheffield Steelers. I think Ferris State. So
that's right. You see me in my earlier days.
Yeah, with the sweet flow.
Oh God! When you put that picture up, I was like, my wife was like, "Oh."
I had to do it. I had to put it on the poster just to let the kids know.
They're starting to get a little bit of flow there. I don't know. Miller is going to be probably a little more curler than Mason, but yeah.
I really liked the Ferris State picture. Like I thought there was a lot of character there in that haircut.
You get one haircut a year.
Oh, actually, okay. Last couple questions here then is when you did get back, you played 7 games for the Cornwall Nationals of the I don't know what league it is. It's Senior A?
No.
That's what we call it here. Did you get paid?
Yeah.
Was it the Federal Hockey League?
That's it. I was going to say provincial. It's federal.
They paid you?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple guys that owned it from town, and guys.
How much did you have to travel? Who's playing in that league?
So that was the kicker, because I was coaching. They're like, can you play at least 8 games out of the year? I'm like, man, I'm hoping I can. Like, I've been on a bus to, I don't even know where it was. It was like 12 hours or 9. It was way too long. So when I got back and I looked at Becky, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. First of all, I'm not the shape that I was when I was playing, even though I had just retired, but I didn't really expect to start playing again until like July or August. And then you only got like a month before you prepare. I'm like, what's a month going to do really? So yeah, crazy part, 7 games. Yeah. I played a couple home games and then did a couple road trips, and that was it. I called it.
That was that. You never made it to the 8th. You played 7.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine being on a 12-hour bus trip and then trying to play a game like that.
Yeah, and the funny part is we rode a bus. 1, 2, there's probably 8 seats. 8, so 2.
Short bus. It was a short bus.
Short bus, okay. And all the equipment's in the middle, the rows, because the back's got maybe 6 bags that can fit in it.
Yep.
And I'm sitting like this between the guy I know, he's a police officer now, but he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. He's like, what are you doing on this bus? I was like, I don't know, for like 12 hours. I think he asked me that question like 15 times. And I was like, I think that was the nail in the coffin. Don't get me wrong, there were some good players in the league, and it was an okay league, but yeah,
like, no, he did. Yeah. Like when you're
nighttime was,
when you got kids and you're trying to start a life to be on a bus for that
no.
long. And like, I actually enjoyed playing around here because it was 10 minutes away to practice, which I liked more than the games. But then I'd play games and, like they weren't that far away, but like for the most part, they'd let me just play the home games. And then come playoff time, like I would be like, okay, I'm in, like, let's do this. Right. And
Yeah.
I got into some best of seven series that were like real hockey.
I can imagine when that, because you play, who are the teams that you'd have been
Oh,
playing
I
with?
wouldn't even like it was the like WOAA, like the double A. Like it was just the local rural teams around here, like
Yeah, yeah.
Clinton, Ripley. I played for Ripley Wolves, and then you play Port Elgin and teams like that. But like, yeah, Alora. I played for like a few years, and like it was fun, but it sucks when you can't do what you used to be able to do. Like my knee, there was a lot of things like I couldn't do. I'd go into a corner and just be like, just don't hurt me. Like just,
Yeah.
like just don't hurt me. Like give me the puck in the neutral zone and let me like skate, but like don't,
Yeah.
I'm not getting into this.
No battling. No battling.
Please don't, because
Yeah.
yeah, there were times where I'd get like right into it. I think like, yeah. But like that was part of us, right? Like you Nesbitt, all the Ferris State boys, same as Western, like we were all competitive and we had a lot of battles, and like same with Sheffield and Cardiff. Like
Yeah.
we're competitive people and it's just part of us, right?
That's it. I hate to lose.
Well, you know
For
what?
years, that's my wife. That
Now that we've
it's a
talked
battleship.
now that we've talked about it, I kind of want to take you on a pig pong.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
and I'm serious.
I'm a defensive ping pong specialist,
Oh,
but there was
you're all defense, eh?
yeah, just backspin all the time. I didn't have the power for it, and I never worked on it.
Is that right, eh? So you're
There-
just floating them over and trying to let me make the mistakes, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just tap them back. I can send them back. You send the heat, I'll send back a little spin on you.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. I like to adjust to my competition. I like to see what they're working with. But other than that, I don't really have anything else for you. Do you got anything for me before we shut this down?
No, I just appreciate you giving me a shout out, and I'm glad I was able to, come on and talk hockey again. It's you always miss it after times like these. I did one with about 3 years ago with a guy from my hometown. I did back in juniors, so we did another one, and it's always nice to look back on your career and stuff and guys you played with and guys that you played against and the challenges and stuff that you
You went through.
you went through, and the championships, the losses, the stuff that's made me the person today. And I can tell my kids stories till their
Well,
ears bleed.
and to be honest, as ridiculous as it sounds, is like one of my main reasons for doing this, and what really gives me the passion is that, like, I hope someday, like, your boys listen to this and are like, I didn't know that. I didn't like, and it never would have came up. That story never would have came up. They wouldn't have known you played with him or how it all went. I went on a couple like you did, and that's kind of how I came up with the idea, was like, I could do this for a lot of guys, and I wanted it. I wanted to come on and talk about like what I had done. And I was like, geez, like I want to do that for all the kids and wives and the players, like to talk about it, to reminisce. Like this is the best part of my, like, I know, like it's fun playing with the kids and doing everything, but like
Yeah,
it's the part of my week where I get to be myself again and back to the guy I used to be,
back to the
instead
dressing
of,
room,
yeah,
dressing room
instead of
talk.
just dad, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
not just the referee. Like stop fighting and whatever, right?
yeah, I know. It's good times to talk about hockey, and I appreciate you reaching out. And I was like, well, I wonder why he wants to talk to me though. But I've done a lot in Sheffield, and I owe Sheffield a lot of.
But it wasn't
good
because of
memories.
Sheffield. Why I wanted to have you on was like, well, Nesbitt followed the account, and I was like, well, you should come on. And then I was like, well, what was that other line mate, the guy you had? I'm like, Legue. I'm like, send me his contact info. Let's see what he's up to. And he's like, oh yeah, he'd be good. And then that's just like how it works, man. Like it just
Yeah,
snowballs, and it's like there's so many of us. Like there's so many guys, and like the funny thing is like however people take this is you talk to the guys that made the NHL, you talk to the guys that did it, they're a different interview than the guys that went to Europe after 1 year, the guys that didn't really deep down believe they could do it because they grew up in a small town in a tiny rink. And I played against you. You were, in my opinion, better than a bunch of guys I saw make it. And you're just like a lot of other guys I saw that, like, if things worked out differently, you'd make it. But like, there's a lot, it
yeah,
seems it's like when I had Stan Butler on, who was an OHL coach, he said,
yeah,
guys from big cities, guys from like Toronto, they don't lack confidence. But guys from small towns around Ontario, they lack confidence. And like when you say, why would he want to have me on? I'm like, well, you're the same as me. Like I was the
yeah,
same way. I'm like, well, I'm not that good. But like when you look back on it and you look at what we did, like maybe we were kind of good.
yeah. I just considered myself a hard worker and got benefited from my hard work.
But
Like
like it's like
I
when
played with some good guys too.
right, but that's what the thing is like when you say you play with good guys, it's like, well, everybody had good years, but they played with you. So maybe it was because they were playing with good guys too, right?
Maybe, yeah, yeah. Look at it that way too.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta look at it that way. But like, it's just interesting to me because it seems like a lot of guys I'm having on seem to be from small towns. It's just weird. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
it's interesting. But anyways, thank you for coming on and thank you for spending your Monday night with me. And
No problem.
yeah,
Anytime.
this that man, it like it gets me like it's so fun to my Monday. Like I look forward to this like all night or all day, and I'm like, God, I can't wait to do this. And like it was fun, man. It was fun getting to know you. So thank you for
Yeah.
coming on.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
And this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Leggy and Wally.